The living room was quiet, except for the low hum of the television, its faint glow casting a soft light over Ethan and Lily. They sat side by side on the couch, their small feet dangling off the edge, not quite reaching the floor. The warmth of the house wrapped around them, but there was an unspoken energy in the air, a kind of restless curiosity that neither could ignore. Earlier that evening, their parents had left for a dinner party, something Ethan and Lily found both exciting and unusual. They had waved goodbye, trying not to look too eager, as their mother reminded them of the rules: no running, no going outside, and definitely no snooping around. For the first hour, they obeyed. They played a few rounds of hide and seek, then built a fort out of pillows and blankets, giggling as they crawled underneath to tell spooky stories. But as the night wore on, the novelty began to wear off. Ethan flicked through channels on the TV, his brows furrowing as nothing held his interest for long. Lily, perched beside him, fiddled with the edge of her shirt, her mind clearly elsewhere. "Do you think Mom has secrets?" she asked, breaking the silence. Ethan paused, lowering the remote. "What kind of secrets?" he asked, his tone dismissive, though his curiosity had been piqued. "I don't know," Lily said with a shrug, her voice soft but insistent. "Grown-up secrets." Ethan smirked. "Like a secret candy stash?" "I already found that last month behind the cereal boxes." Lily frowned. "Not candy. Something bigger." Her words hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Ethan tilted his head, considering this. Their mother wasn't the type to hide things, or so he thought. She was always so neat, so predictable, always reminding them to stay out of her room. That thought alone made his curiosity spike. "Only one way to find out," Ethan said, standing up abruptly. Lily's eyes widened. "You mean go in her room?" "We're not supposed to." "Rules are boring," Ethan replied with a grin. "Don't you want to know?" Lily hesitated, biting her lip. She glanced down the hallway toward their parents' room, the door standing slightly ajar, as though inviting them in. "I don't know." "Come on," Ethan urged. "It's not like we're hurting anyone." After a moment, Lily slid off the couch and followed her brother. Together, they crept down the hallway, their footsteps light as whispers. The door creaked as Ethan pushed it open, revealing the familiar yet forbidden space. The room smelled of lavender and their mother's perfume, a scent they often associated with bedtime hugs and stories. It felt strange to be here now, without her. The room was immaculate. The bed was neatly made, the curtains drawn, and the soft glow of the bedside lamp cast long shadows on the walls. For a moment, they just stood there, unsure where to begin. "Check the drawers," Ethan whispered, his voice carrying an edge of excitement. Lily wrinkled her nose. "What if we find something we don't like?" "That's the point," Ethan said with a grin, though his hands trembled slightly as he approached the dresser. He started with the top drawer, scarves and gloves, neatly folded. The second drawer held socks and jewelry boxes. Nothing out of the ordinary. When he got to the third drawer, it resisted slightly. He tugged harder, and with a soft creak, it slid open. At first, it looked like a mess of papers and old photographs, but then something caught Ethan's eye, a small red box tucked toward the back. It was unmarked, smooth, and slightly worn, as though it had been opened and closed many times. "What's that?" Lily asked, leaning closer. Ethan reached in and pulled it out carefully. The weight of it felt strange in his hands, heavier than he expected. "I don't know," he admitted. Open it, Lily whispered, her eyes wide. For a moment, Ethan hesitated. Part of him wanted to put the box back and pretend they'd never found it. But curiosity got the better of him. Slowly, he lifted the lid. Inside was an object unlike anything they'd ever seen. It was sleek and shiny, with colorful buttons and grooves that gave it an almost futuristic appearance. It didn't look like a toy, not the kind they were used to, anyway. "What is it?" Lily asked, her voice trembling. "I think," Ethan began, trailing off as he turned it over in his hands. "I think it's a grown-up toy." They stared at it in silence, the air in the room feeling suddenly heavier. There was something about the object that felt deeply personal, almost forbidden. It wasn't just the discovery that unnerved them, it was the realization that their mother, someone they thought they knew so well, had kept this hidden. "Put it back," Lily whispered urgently. "Ethan, put it back." Ethan nodded, his hands shaking as he placed the object back in the box and closed the lid. He shoved it into the drawer and pushed it shut, the sound of wood scraping against wood echoing in the quiet room. They fled the room without another word, their small feet padding down the hallway and into the safety of the living room. But even as they settled back onto the couch, the unease lingered. "Why do you think she has that?" Lily asked after a long silence. Ethan didn't answer right away. He stared at the blank TV screen, his thoughts swirling. "I don't know," he said finally. Maybe all grown-ups have stuff like that." Lily hugged her knees to her chest, her face pale. "But why hide it?" Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that they'd crossed a line, stepped into a part of their mother's life they weren't meant to see. "I think it's not for us to know," he said quietly. "We shouldn't have looked." Lily nodded, but the image of the toy stayed with her, vivid and strange. She couldn't understand what it was, but she felt certain it wasn't meant for them to find. The rest of the evening passed in uneasy silence. They turned on the TV, hoping the familiar cartoons would distract them, but their minds were elsewhere. The house felt different now, as though the discovery had shifted something unseen. When their parents came home later that night, Ethan and Lily pretended nothing had happened. They smiled, hugged their mother, and listened to her stories about the dinner party. But deep down, they couldn't forget the red box or the strange shiny toy inside. As the days turned into weeks, the memory of that night lingered like a shadow. Neither of them brought it up again, but every now and then, they would catch each other's eye and know they were thinking the same thing. Some secrets are better left undiscovered. I hope you learned something from this story. Please, if you haven't subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button. Be a part of my growth. Turn on the notifications so that when I post more interesting stories, you'll be the first to get them. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your consistent support.